going to heaven. Others talk about bringing it to earth. But what most of us don't realize is that, as Henry Thoreau points out, heaven is under our feet as well as over our heads. We just can't recognize it. That might have given you a bit of a clue about what today's assembly is about. If not, well, stay tuned. But for now, I'm Manat Chaudhary, your host for the day. Welcome you to today's assembly. Today is the 3rd of November, Tuesday. Now, talking about heavens, let's move on to the prayers so that we can praise the heavens and earn their blessings.
नेमतें जो मेरे रब ने धरती को दी, साफ पानी, हवा, बारिशें, चांदनी, ये तो हर इब्ने आदम की जागीर है, ये हमारी तुम्हारी किसी की नहीं। मुझको तालीम, सेहत और उम्मीद की 7 रंगों से भरी एक धड़क चाहिए। मुझे अपने जीने का हक चाहिए, मुझे अपने जीने का हक चाहिए।
Oh, great, what a poem. Just reminds us of all the lush greenery we are destroying, right? But you and I, we're humans. We are the most omnipresent species in the world. We are optimistic. We don't focus on the negatives. Try to hold on to that thought for the next of your life. But I, and indeed the entire group, our group, the New Learning Express, we are here to tell you to think about all these negatives that are happening, to think about the nature. And that is why, keeping that in mind, we at this group have taken up the initiative of Greenathon. And without further ado, I, Milith Chaudhary, welcome you all to the Greenathon Assembly.
Nature, nature, so lush and deep, the absolute wonder anyone has seen. So cool, calm, and full of life, makes us forget all our strife. Think of forests full of trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Cut them down and construct towers, wait for ages to get showers. The birds soar high in the sky, can't imitate them however hard we try. Learn to wonder and gape at things and see the happiness it brings. We have got such wonderful things. Do what you can and save the beings so that our children in future can see the things we nurture. Thank you.
This one thus describes nature. Have you, my dear audience, ever watched nature closely? Some might say it is beautiful. Some might say it is the best thing you want to see. But only a few says nature is magic, and that's true. Nature is magic. A never forgetting sight from the distant mountains or the humid beaches is all it requires to make all feel the same way. Well, I have described nature a lot, and to express it to the infinity, we have a small piece.
21મી સદીમાં એવું શું બન્યું કે પર્યાવરણની જાળવણી માનવ વસ્તી માટે એક પડકાર બનીને ઊભી થઈ ગઈ? આવો પ્રશ્ન થાય એ સ્વાભાવિક છે. આ કોઈ કુદરત સર્જિત આપત્તિ નથી, માનવ સર્જિત આફત છે. એટલું તો સૌ કોઈ સમજે છે, કેમ કે આ તો હાથના કર્યા છાંયે વાગ્યા છે. વિજ્ઞાન અને ટેકનોલોજીની અભૂતપૂર્વક સિદ્ધિઓથી ફૂલાઈ ગયેલા માનવીએ કુદરતને નાથવાના અને સંપત્તિની જમાવટ કરીને ભૌતિક દૈહિક સુખ ભોગવવાના જે ખતરારૂપ અખતરા કર્યા છે, એના લીધે જ આ પ્રદૂષણનો ધોજ છૂટ્યો. એટલું જ નહીં, પર્યાવરણનું પાવિત્ર્ય છિન્ન ભિન્ન કરી નાખ્યું. કુદરતી સમતુલાને એટલી હદે ખોરવી નાખી કે એકબીજાને આધારે ટકતી નકતી જીવંત સૃષ્ટિ, જીવનશૈલી પ્રદૂષિતને કલુષિત કરી નાખ્યું. હવા, પાણી, અનાજ, શાકભાજી બધું જ અશુદ્ધ અને જંતુયુક્ત બની છતાં માનવ વસ્તી માટે એક ભયંકર ખતરો ઊભો થયો છે.
We have heard many literary pieces and recitations, but let's move on to something more impactful. Let us hear a life story. The life story of Mr. Afroz Shah. For those of you that know him, and for those of you that don't, here is presenting what he did to help our environment.
Many of us have heard one of the most famous verses of Sultan Majroopuri. मैं अकेला ही चला था जनीबे मंजिल, पर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया. I alone walked towards the goal, but people started joining me and it turned into a caravan. This is how Mumbai-based lawyer Afroz Shah turned these beautiful lines into reality. Love your country, love your nature. This is what patriotism means for Afroz Shah, who has been cleaning Mumbai city's beaches from the last 4 years. His tireless efforts turned the Mumbai's Warsaw beach into heaven.
The journey started from Mumbai's Warsaw beach as he took this humongous task in his hand and walked into the dirt with his 84-year-old friend. 4 years ago, Mumbai's Warsaw beach was a residential garbage ground where thousands of kilograms of garbage was thrown every single day. Dogs roam all around the litter and birds hover too. Open defecation was a major concern. But sadly, the government did not consider it as a major health concern for the local residentials and the problem it posed to the marine life and species. Afroz himself took this unprecedented task in his own hands and started picking up the plastic waste from the ocean's dumping point.
People started joining in to accompany him, and eventually a surprising result came up in front of our eyes. Afroz and his volunteers collected nearly 23 million kg of trash and dirt at Warsaw Beach. It was all done because of his 3.5 years of tireless efforts. After the strenuous efforts of 160 weeks, Afroz proudly announced on Twitter that a miraculous change has been made. Today, what Mumbai's Warsaw Beach is like never before. After removing maximum waste from the beach, Afroz made a world record with his cleanup efforts, and it became the world's largest beach cleaning activity.
The United Nations Environment Programme, shortly known as UNEP, conferred on him the Champions of the Earth Award in 2016. The journey did not stop here. His next campaign arrived at the Mithe River to make it plastic free. This 15-kilometer long river starts from the Vihar Lake and meets the Arabian Sea. This river has been severely polluted owing to the surrounding huge slum areas. Industrial waste, sewage, garbage, and many other illegal activities are responsible for polluting the river.
Afroz and his team arrived every weekend to clean up the Mithe River. And over the past 7 months, a tremendous result has been seen, as more than 2 kilometers of the river stretch has been made plastic free. And Afroz and his team are not only picking up the garbage from the rivers and beaches, but his volunteers are also visiting the slum area's residents to collect plastic, polythene bags, washing public toilets, and educating them to not to use plastic and to not throw garbage in the rivers. Yup, that's true. We should be proud to be an Indian and to have Indians such as Afroz who is taking great measures and is not only leading India but the whole world towards greatness and greenery. Okay, but that's about India. But the world too is taking great measures towards a greater world. And one such example is Leonardo DiCaprio.
What does an actor do? Simply acting and earning his household, right? Well, this is the story of an A-star actor doing something great for humanity. Combining the worlds of the A-list Hollywood star and the impassioned environmentalist is a flawed, sometimes contradictory process, but DiCaprio has pulled it off, becoming one of the world's most high-profile campaigners. His primary aim, he says, it is not about imposing a certain belief system or a way of life on people in any economic background. It's just to be aware of the issue. That's the main point.
The first campaigning steps were taken a decade ago, after he found himself the target of angry environmentalists. During the filming of The Beach, the best-selling novel about backpackers seeking a Shangri-La of the Thai coast, the production team was accused of damaging a pristine beach of National Marine Park. In an attempt to make it look even more perfect, some palm trees were temporarily planted and sand dunes moved. Despite the giving permission by the authorities to the filmmakers,
This action made headlines all over the world.
In 1998, DiCaprio established Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, which has since collaborated with the likes of International Fund for Animal Welfare, Oceana, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and Dan Fozzi Foundation to raise awareness, particularly among children, of environmental issues. In 2000, he was the US Chair of the Earth Day, the annual celebration of the environment. Enough is enough, he told to the crowd in Washington, D.C. We must set an example now and move environmentalism from being the philosophy of a passionate minority to the way of life that automatically integrates the ecology into governmental policy and normal living standards. We are entering an environmental age, whether we like it or not.
Okay, after those amazing performances, let's see how some individuals are changing the world. Let's see some interviews. But these interviews will be based on our project, the Greenathon, and its core. We have an assembled team of experts, and as always, our interviewers will ask them questions. So, let's go live on the clock and see some interviews.
Namaste and welcome to the Society Changers Show. In this show, we inspire people to take action for social causes. Today's burning topic is on the green cover of our planet. Specifically, how do we increase the number of plants on our planet? The answer is simple. It's to start out small. We bring you people who have turned their houses green, better known as Greenathon contestants. I would like to invite my co-questionnaire Samarth Nair to propose the first question.
So, Mr. Mannath, your question and the first question for the day is, how was it actually growing these plants? Now, we all know that you started out your journey by growing your plants, but after you grew your first plant, what was the exact feeling and what did you feel?
Growing plants, it's an experience I can't describe. Members of our audience who have already grown plants know this. It cannot be expressed in words. The elation you experience when you're growing that child. It's like nurturing a 5-year-old baby when it's at its prime, when it's most energetic, and it's really good to see it. I can't tell you more than that in words, but I can tell you this much. I love my plant.
I would like to invite Nitya Ganatra to answer the next question, which is, what materials are needed and how easy is it to grow a plant?
The material which we will require to grow any plant are soil, water, some seeds and proper sunlight. Microbeans take 4 to 5 days to germinate and 1 to 2 weeks to grow completely. For example, wheat, moong and chickpeas. The plants like orange, tomato and brinjal take 1 to 2 weeks to germinate and 2 to 3 months to grow completely. Some plants can also be grown with the help of the stem. For example, rose. If we plant a rose stem, then it will grow into a rose plant. It is not an easy task to grow any plant. We need to maintain our patience. After some time, we will be emotionally attached with the plant. That when we will drink water, our heart will remind us to water our plant as well.
So, my third question is for you, Dhiri. How is life with these plants around? How do they help you? And if they do, how indeed?
The life around the plant is peaceful and pleasant. They help us by providing food, medicines, etc. They maintain moisture in the environment, keep surroundings cool, and also maintain oxygen level. When I am around the plants, it makes me feel relaxed, which leads to better concentration, productivity, and creativity.
My next question is to Shiv Ruparelia, which is, what kind of plants have you grown? Could you explain some of these wonderful plants briefly?
The plants in here that I have grown are, this is a papaya, and as you can see, some have grown and some are left to grow. I have grown it from 3, and this is a lemon tree. Still the lemons have not grown, but it is from 4 years. This is an orange tree, and there were some orange which were gone, but we have plugged it, so some oranges are left to be grown. This is a palm tree, as you can see, and I have grown it from 5 years.
So our fifth and the final question for the day is for Nityapani. So Nityapani, your question is that what are some attributes or some qualities that we should learn from these plants?
Through photosynthesis, plants produce their own food and other organisms are dependent on them. So, plants teach us to be independent. Secondly, plants are known to adapt themselves in adverse environment. Similarly, we should adjust ourselves to circumstances no matter what. And most importantly, the way plants are here to feed others. We humans are here to help each other and be productive for the ecosystem.
One mosquito can't do anything against a rhino, but 1,000 mosquitoes together can make a rhino change its direction. Similarly, one tree cannot change the whole climate, but if every one of us plants 5 trees each, we can save our earth. Such are the thoughts of Felix Greenberg, a man who started his Planet campaign at a tender age of 10 and who delivered these words in front of the United Nations. His campaigns have received humongous support and humongous applause from worldwide, and he serves an inspiration to all those children out there who think they can't do anything, because you are only as strong or as weak as you think you are. So if you think you're strong, you are strong. Let's save this planet.
Friends, Felix has inspired and mobilized children from over 180 countries to join in his campaign, Plant for the Planet. And one of his slogans became very popular: Stop talking, start planting. Each volunteer from each country has pledged to plant 1 million trees in their country. Well, there were thousands of volunteers from India too. And it has been 10 years since Felix has started this program and his campaign got a new name.
Hello, good morning friends. This is Dr. Shyama Gondalia. I am from Adhigava Naturals. We deal with the organic farming. Actually, I am a doctor, and we are a team of doctors and engineers. But we have a passion of doing organic farming and supplying organic milk and organic vegetables and fruits to the customers. So I'm here today to show you some of our project we are dealing with. These are the organic vegetables we have grown here. First one is okra, that is bindi. You can see over here. Bindi is there in the plant. You can see, I think you can see, right? Yeah. Then we have these marigold plants which are used to prevent insects. These are tomatoes, chilies. We have already taken the fruits out of it, so I think you won't be able to see. There is mirchi. This is bottle gourd. This is brinjal. I think you will be able to see the brinjals over there, right? Yeah. This is bottle gourd, huge leaves. This is again brinjals. I think you will be able to see the brinjals.
Another such child who created a huge wave was a 16-year-old Greta Thunberg. She was the only student to protest in front of the Swedish parliament against the government's inactivity towards climate change. With this, I'd like to call upon Samarth Nair to present the Greenathon pledge. Let us all stand up and repeat it.
Greenathon is the future project that each individual has to take up for the betterment of the environment and our daily lives. And all our focus should be on the process.
Because the results are defined by the process, and the process is the only thing we can control. Each individual listening to this recorded assembly will be humbly requested to take the green pledge and focus on the better way. This pledge is a promise to yourself, not accountable, but your responsibility as a human being. Do remember to repeat after me and do include your names instead of mine. I, Samarth Nair,
Madhur Bhatt,
hereby humbly pledge to take an active and conscious part
hereby humbly pledge to take an active and conscious part
in the Greenathon initiative
in the Greenathon initiative
and to contribute to the best of my abilities solely for the betterment of the environment and life. I also solemnly swear that I will make the effort to plant at least 2 saplings per month and will stop any attempt done by any individual to reduce the green factor. I will ensure to make this world in its true form a better place.
Now that we have pledged our allegiance, it is our moral duty to preserve this nature, its beauty and its benefits. And talking about duties, it is also our duty as Indian citizens to rise to the national anthem. Keeping that in mind, please rise for the national anthem. Assembly Saudhan.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Assembly Vishram. This entire assembly so far has undoubtedly been one that incites reflection, introspection. It leads us to think about what we are doing to the earth and what the earth might and is doing to us in return. But thoughts have this special place in the mind, and when we start thinking about all these issues, that's when we can come up with solutions. Because remember, if we create the problems, we do have the solutions for them. So now I'll just invite Shivram sir over so that he can tell us a little bit about what we can think in our future. Because thinking always leads to solutions, and solutions always lead to a better society.
मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, लैपटॉप है, आईपैड है, एलेक्सा है और रोबोट भी है। तुम्हारे पास क्या है? मेरे पास साफ सुथरा ऑक्सीजन है। This could be a near reality. Namaste. We bring to you Greenathon campaign. Well, it said oxygen is directly proportional to the plant or the green cover that we have. So the quality of oxygen is equal to the quality of plants that we have around us. Well, these are my two new friends, and the others are there. It's time to change. The point to Socho propels us to think in a different direction. And we here with the Learning Express Group's campaign Greenathon, we are taking a step forward, not just restricting ourselves to point to Socho only, but point to do, point to act. Well, the examples are plenty. One Wangari Maathai planting 30 million trees. One Felix Frank Banner, inspired by Wangari Maathai, running a trillion tree campaign, and he started planting at the age of 10 and has influenced 180 countries. One Lissy Priya, who is merely 10 years old, is the youngest child climate activist of India, and marches into the parliament saying, "Save India from climate crisis." Now the question is, what can we do? More, what can I do? Third, what have I done so far? Well, the solution is very simple. From one of Greta's video, I got inspired. They said, there's one magic machine, children, there's one magic machine which sucks in all carbon and gives us oxygen. And that machine is called a tree, which is very simple to grow, very feasible for everyone, and it's not as costly as an iPhone. So the idea is here, the time to act is now. Act now for a hopeful and a better tomorrow. The solution is simple. If all the TGS members started planting 5 trees in 6 months, every 6 months planting just 5 trees, how will that future be? Let's take charge of our lives. Let's take charge of what we can do, because if we change ourselves, the society will change. And who knows, if the government and the society decide to announce the richest person of the year, not by the $1 million in the account, but by the number of trees he or she has planted. Point to Socho. Just think, how would the society be if we started honoring people who are doing more for nature rather than just amassing wealth in dollars in our bank accounts? Let's redefine the way we have seen the word rich. Let the person planting the highest become the richest. To end, मुट्ठी में लेकर कुछ सपने, भरकर जेबों में आशाएं, दिल में है अरमान यही, कुछ कर जाएं, कुछ कर जाएं. सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में, दीपक सा जलता देखोगे, अपनी हद रोशन करने से तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे, तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे. Thank you.
This entire assembly so far has undoubtedly been one that incites reflection, introspection. It leads us to think about what we are doing to the earth and what the earth might and is doing to us in return. But thoughts have this special place in the mind, and when we start thinking about all these issues, that's when we can come up with solutions. Because remember, if we create the problems, we do have the solutions for them. So now I'll just invite Shivram sir over so that he can tell us a little bit about what we can think in our future. Because thinking always leads to solutions, and solutions always lead to a better society.
पत्ते पानी पेड़ जंगल सब्ज सोना है, हवाएं पत्ते पानी पेड़ जंगल सब्ज सोना है. अगर तुम हो तो इतना ही जरूरी इनका होना है. ये दम वापस नहीं आएगा जब तुम खांस लोगे। हवाएं मैली मत करना कि जब तुम सांस लोगे। ये दम वापस नहीं आएगा जब तुम खांस लोगे। उगाओ जिंदगी और याद रखो दिल को बोना है। हवाएं पत्ते पानी पेड़ जंगल सब्ज सोना है। पेड़ उगाओ छानो हवाएं साफ करो। अपनी जमीन से इतना तो इंसाफ करो। पेड़ उगाओ छानो हवाएं साफ करो। अपनी जमीन से इतना तो